Please stand by. Everything still looks great. A few more seconds. And there it is. The meeting is yours, Madam Chair. Let me know if you need anything.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, it says merge live. Can we start then?
Yep, you can go.
Okay, all right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And Cindy, if you do not mind, we will have roll call first.
Barbara Garbutt,
Here,
Jason Pernick,
I am here.
Betsy LaFond is absent. Barry Hiscox,
Here.
Shane Lackner is absent. And Vanessa Magner is
Here.
a new library board member.
okay,
Hello.
Vanessa,
Hello.
you want to tell
Thank
them a little
you.
about yourself?
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. And I was appointed to the library board by the township board last night. So I'm excited to be a part of this. Just a little bit about me. I started at the township in 2003. So I've been with the township for quite some time, mostly in the clerk's department, and then as a trustee starting in 2016. So my husband and I live here in Commerce with our 2 kids, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Great, we're happy to have you. So, okay, could we have the approval of the agenda, please? Would somebody like to do that?
Motion to
We
approve.
approve the agenda.
Can I
All
ask
right.
for one small amendment under old business? Can we, I just thought it might make more sense to put all of our building closure / COVID conversation there.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that agreeable with everyone? So we had a motion to approve. Barry, did you second that?
Aye.
Okay, all in favor?
Oh,
Aye.
gotta do roll call, Barb.
Okay, oh, that's right. Okay, go
Sorry.
ahead, Cindy.
Pernick,
Yes.
Hiscox,
Aye.
Garbutt,
Yes,
Magner,
Aye.
motion carried unanimously.
all right. The approval of the minutes, I think Betsy, I looked them over several times and we fixed them up. So I think that they are correct now. So I will move that we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I second that.
I
Okay,
should probably abstain from that since I wasn't at the meeting, just for the record.
yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Aye.
Aye.
Oh, go ahead.
Roll
I'm
call.
sorry.
Garbutt,
Yes,
Hiscox,
Yes.
Pernick,
Yes.
okay,
and Magner abstained.
yes. Do we have anybody that wants to make public comments?
Doesn't look like it, but we'll have Ken confirm.
Yes, that's correct. There are no attendees on the line at this point.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any we have correspondence in the,
We do have a bit of correspondence, and I also included a couple of news articles for you guys, just so that you had them in case you missed them in the spinal column. So I'm sure you guys had time to read them, but we just had a concerned resident who was concerned about the library being closed. I also had a book review of sorts from another resident, basically dissuading us from purchasing that specific book. And then a letter from a parent of a child who did a volunteer project collecting books for her school. I connected the mother with the Friends of the Library so that the Friends of the Library could donate some books to her. So there was the thank you note from the mother of Karina Klein, and then the article is from the spinal column is also in with the correspondence, as well as an article that ran on the spinal column last week, just regarding what we and our neighboring libraries were doing with the current status of our buildings. And I just got
We
some,
have received much feedback from residents on the closure. Do you usually include whatever feedback we get in this portion?
if I had any, if I got any emailed or, complaints, I would certainly include them here. So that one that we got was the only one that we did receive. So, I mean, I totally understand that people are frustrated.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. I'm just,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
figured there'd even be more, so that's why I
yeah,
was.
so there's not,
wondering.
it's not,
Mhm.
I just try to include all those things for you
Yeah,
guys.
no, I appreciate it.
Well, and Vanessa, I have spoken to 2 other libraries and they have the same thing. People who are complaining and
Oh, sure.
others who are extremely nice, but,
Yeah.
that's just the way it goes now.
Yeah, it's a sticky place.
Yes.
And I mean,
So,
yeah, so
all right.
it's
If we
nice that
have
people
no,
share.
okay, no public comments, we'll go on with your financial report.
Okay, so I included in your pack the revenue and expenditure report that went through the end of November, so through November 30th. So we are nearly at the end of the fiscal year, as well as nearly at the end of this year, 2020. So this is we're basically on track. We have spent 72.47% of our budget as of November 30th. And we have received 99.87% of our revenue. In terms of the individual line items, everything is basically on track. There are a couple things that are high, just because they're unusual. We had a high amount of paid time off payout this year because we had a retirement, things like that. But yeah, financially, we are doing really well. This is a really funny year. I hope we don't see another year like this. But we've only spent around 50% of our programming budget, for example. So in a normal year, that would certainly be spent on more than this. But given that we did a modified summer reading program and haven't, only had a few months of in-person programming here prior to being shut down, things are different.
Anybody have any questions? Anybody? No.
I do,
Okay,
but
you may-
maybe Allison and I'm just generally curious with the COVID situation. Are you finding that there's an uptick in actual book checkouts or in the electronic book checkouts?
The ebook checkouts have grown, certainly. And that was, that had grown, when we were closed, obviously. So our checkouts this year are going to be a little bit, the stats. So we keep the stats, year to year. The stats this year are going to be, really messed up because we were closed for 77 days. So that's 77 days where none of our items were circulating.
Where in the financial is that the ebooks located?
So
under what line item?
So the ebooks right now are located under the very, very last line item, electronic databases. So what we did for next year, so next year's budget, we pulled specifically the ebooks from the vendor called Overdrive. So they're our main supplier of the ebooks, and we spend a lot of money with them, and we prioritize a lot more money for next year. That's going to be its own line because I think it's important enough and it's significant enough that it will be helpful to look at it on its own. So starting in January, we'll have that additional line item on there.
Good. That's exactly what I was asking. I just wanted to see on this where that was.
Yeah. So it's kind of tucked in with other things right now, and I think it's helpful to pull it out.
Yeah.
Because the demand for that is really, it's consistent and it's growing, and the wait times can be problematic. So, I think it's important for us to see how it's being used and in which ways it's being used, so that we can kind of fill the patron needs. I think I said this at the township board meeting, but I don't know for sure. But essentially, with the ebooks, it's kind of, you'll never hit the bottom of the demand where you have filled every single hole that patrons have. Because I think part of the reason is because a lot of items are checked out, so you're putting yourself on the waiting list for things that you need to read. But also, I think there's a little bit of a different attitude towards the ebooks than there is even towards a physical book, where you'll put 20 things on hold because
It's
you know,
easy, right? It's convenient to do that.
exactly. It's like, yeah, I think there's something with like that, you're just kind of behind your computer and you're just clicking.
I throw everything in my shopping cart, and then when I go to checkout,
then you delete stuff out, right? But when you're not paying for it, you're just like, yeah, I'll do it. You're not carrying a stack of books this high, so it's a little bit different. And people, and it's understandable, right? The internet is really instantaneous. You want something and you click it and you have it. Especially if you're downloading a movie, you're watching something on Netflix. So people expect to get those things really quick, and the way they're licensed, that's not exactly how it works. So it's every library in the country that has downloadable books has this problem. So
thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. And we can get into it more. I can,
Yeah.
as far as
Well,
pretty much covered it.
But it's hard.
looking at the numbers, though, if I read them correctly, we've sent out our circulations up to 20,000, which is awfully good when you consider what's been going on. And I will say that the last time I came to get out a book, I was fourth in line at the window. So I know that people are picking up a lot of books there.
Yeah. Our circulation is still doing fairly well. This current closure hasn't been that long, but certainly people are still putting holds on items, and they're still, coming to the window and getting them, and we're kind of doing pretty brisk business at the window. We try to get them through as fast as we can, and it's nice that people, are coming through and getting their things. It's certainly not the same. The people who want to come in and touch all the books before they pick out the ones that they want, that's understandably frustrating. But there's no question that the library is still being used, in this kind of in-between state.
Anybody have any other questions about the finances? Then you may as well go on, Allison, with the director's report.
Okay, sure. So just briefly, welcome to Vanessa. Welcome to Trustee Magner. We're happy to have you here. Ben Sabrowski is working on getting us some Chromebooks right now. So the Chromebooks are what kids use at school primarily. They're the fairly simple to use and fairly reasonably priced laptops. We're going to get a handful of them, 4 or 5, for checkout. We can pair them together with the Wi-Fi hotspots that we have and check those out as a bundle for people who don't have internet at their home or don't have reliable internet, so that they can still check their email or apply for a job. So one of the consequences of us being closed is that we're close to the people who come in to use our computers, and there are people who come in to use our computers 3 or 4 times a week. And that's always kind of weighs heavily on this when we decide that we can't be safely open at the moment. So so that's a challenge, and so Ben's working on those. I'm excited to have them out. I don't think it'll be something where we have a wait list of 50 people, especially since the kids have them for school and everything. But I do think it's nice for us to be able to offer that for people. It's a decent compromise, and we can talk more about being closed once we get a little bit further into the meeting when we get to old business. But it was as of November 18th, so we've been closed for a couple weeks now. And I will just, and we can touch on this more later as well, but we are sort of having a rotating. There's always a kind of a few staff members who are out due to quarantine to close contact. So it's been fine. We have enough staff, and people have either flexed their hours or, they're flexible with, their job role within the library, and they're kind of chipping into helping. But it certainly is noticeable, the staff, because when you lose someone, up until the end of last week, we were losing them for 2 weeks. So, it's a pretty significant time for someone to be off. But we're making do. The staff have been, really amazing. with, doing things outside of what the norm is. And I very, very, very much appreciate that. Let's see what's next. Oh, so we are putting together a cookbook to kind of commemorate 2020. So we're asking people for their recipes, the things that they made at home during the pandemic, or like their whatever food, either comfort food or whatever they like to share. So if you guys want to send a recipe to me, I would love to include it. We're going to take recipes. We're going to get them through the end of the year. And then I actually have a high school student who's volunteering remotely to do the layout on that, which is awesome. And we'll get a couple copies printed to keep in the library, and then we'll put it on our website so people can download it if they do so desire. But I have been looking at the recipes as they come in. Barb sent me her mom's shortbread, and I've had it. I've never made it, but it's delicious. And there are some other really good looking recipes. So you guys will have to check it out. I'll be sure to include a link, or I'll send you guys everything. Yeah, and the last thing is just an update. Since we didn't actually meet in November, we haven't met since the end of October. At the Township Board's November meeting, they did approve the purchase of those, the wooden shelving. So it's called a book bin because it's not a normal size shelf for the board books. So that's on order, as are the end panels to go on the north side of our stacks, so that patrons don't have to come all the way down to one side to figure out where they are in the maze of books. So those should be coming soon. I'm excited to get those installed. And that's my report.
Okay, anybody have any questions about that? Any additions? Okay, how about, do we have any old business?
You know what, Barb? We need to do the statistics for the departmental statistics real quick. The programming and the.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I should have just kept talking.
I thought maybe because that was written down, some of the things that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Well, we basically mentioned everything at this point, but yeah, just to go over a couple of things. We've been doing virtual programs since April, I think the end of April. So we definitely have a better feel for what the patrons want, and what they're interested in showing up for. So the adults will do a Zoom program. They really like hands-on programs. So I think I've mentioned to you guys before, the cooking classes that we've had. So we'll get a pastry chef or a chef, and they'll be in their kitchen, and everyone who's participating will be in their kitchens, and they'll have all the ingredients, and we'll make something together. That has been really popular. So the adults will attend the Zoom programming. The kids really not so much. When you think about it, it makes complete sense. They're in, if they're doing virtual schooling every day, it's probably time to get away from the computer at night. But we have had some nice kids virtual programs. They just haven't gotten great attendance. We had the author of Catstronauts, which is they're cat astronauts, and it's a graphic novel series. He did a program in October, and it was a really nice program. I happened to watch it, and it was adorable, and the kids made really cool pictures. Actually, I got this one. So that's the cat astronaut. So yeah, so that was really fun. But the other thing that we've been doing with the kids that have been really popular, we max out our attendance every time, are the take-home kits. So we send them home with something like this. This is a teen kit. This was how to, it was Sewing 101. They were making gingham hair scrunchies. But we'll have, we had them for different age groups. So they'll have them for like the little guys, and there'll be like a craft and an activity. We did a dinosaur one recently. So those have been really popular. They're really easy. They were really easy for us to transition to drive up only, obviously, because they were just coming in and picking these up anyway. And then they take them home and they do them, whenever they have some free time. So we did, these ones today were, you probably can't see that very well, but it's a it's like a 3D Christmas ornament that you can put on your tree. So those have been awesome. Though I'm so impressed with what the librarians come up with. I would, give the kids a coloring page and 3 stickers, but they have come up with these amazing kits. We get a lot of compliments for them. And we did just roll out, we've done our first of a few adult kits. So this is what we did for the adults this week. So this has a couple of bags of microwave popcorn. It has soda and a little bit of candy in there. And then it has all of the information for Canopy. So Canopy is one of our digital databases where you can check out and download a movie. So it's a really nice service. It needs more, we can always drive more patrons to it. So this is kind of a fun way to promote it. And it involves popcorn, which is one of my favorite foods. So I think that's really fun. We did those on Monday. Yeah, so that's it with programming. It's certainly not at the level that it is in person, but I'm pretty pleased with how it's come along in the variety that the librarians have been offering. It's a strange time, but we're making the most of it. I hope that we can do some sort of hybrid programming once we are out of this pandemic, where, in addition to having, the presenter in person and attendees in person, but to have some sort of, to be able to offer an online component for someone who maybe doesn't drive at night or doesn't have a babysitter. Because I think that's valuable. And we certainly, obviously, we're all here right now. We have the technology to do that. So, yeah. And then in terms of, go ahead.
Any questions, comments? Nope, we're all good listeners tonight.
You're good.
Okay.
You guys are probably sick of my voice.
Do we have any old business? I don't think so.
Barb, I didn't do one more thing.
Oh, pardon me.
Sorry. I just didn't do the actual library statistics. I just want to point out a couple things to you guys. So we're at about 150 visitors a day right now, which is not, obviously that's not nothing. Normally it would be more like 450 or 500. So we're obviously, when we are letting people into the building, it's a lot quieter than we're used to. And then you did mention in terms of the checkouts, that we are still checking out quite a few items, in the 20 or 25,000 items a month of physical items, in addition to 7,000 or 8,000 of downloaded materials. So, yeah, the library continues to just make things work. Now I'm done. Unless you guys have questions.
Okay, now, are you finished? Okay. We have no old business, so.
So Barb, under old business, that was where I thought we could talk about the status of the building right now.
Okay.
So I would love to hear what your thoughts are on the matter. It was a hard choice when Supervisor Scott and I discussed it. We kind of went back and forth, and, we were like, oh, let's just wait and see what our neighboring libraries do. It's nice to be open for our patrons. But considering, we do have this, at this never-ending staff quarantine, there was a little bit of concern that we wouldn't have enough staffing to be able to, to keep the library open our normal hours. So on, I think the Tuesday before was when Jade finally called and said, I think we should go ahead and do this and kind of reevaluate as we go. So, I have discussed this with our new supervisor, Larry Gray, and he's kind of okay with staying where we're at right now. I don't know. It's really hard. The library is way more fun when there are patrons in the building. I have worked the drive-up window a couple of days, thanks to our staffing shortage. And the patrons who do come through the window are super grateful. One person, it was really funny. They said, could you tell your director, we are so glad that you guys are here. And I said, yes, I can tell the director that. I can definitely let her know. So, that's really, That's wonderful to hear. You know, at the same time, I know that there are people who are itching to get into the building. So,
So
yeah,
Allison, I have just some thoughts on
yeah,
it.
let's hear 'em.
I would love for it to be open. My only fear is that the open and close, open and close, open and close.
Yes.
Like we just had with the schools, you know, that they lasted 3 days and then 25% of their staff went down. So I think that causes more stress and anxiety and kind of brings back the feeling rather than just kind of doing what you're doing, at least until we can kind of manage the staff and maybe even open up, do like a slight opening where it's, you know, a smaller amount of hours or I don't know if you talked about that.
No, that's so funny. It's almost like you were reading my email that I was sending. I was emailing with the director at the Wixom Library today, and you know, we were going back and forth, and it's just, you know, in a perfect world, there would be one metric that I could look at and say,
Yeah.
number is this is what we do. And if the number is this is what we do. And I have spent too much time looking for that magic number, and you know, it's not there.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not a public health official, and I don't think you guys want me to act like one, but there was, you know, when I was emailing with the director at Wixom, you know, we said, you know, there is that disruption and that confusion that happens when, you know, if we opened for 2 weeks and then, you know,
Right.
we have to, you know, close again. So I suppose that in my mind, if I'm, you know, if I had a crystal ball and if things continue to get, you know, incrementally better, I would envision perhaps staying at this status, so drive up window only, until right after Christmas, and then maybe opening for doing sort of a soft open on December 26th. So from December 26th through the 30th, doing what we did when we reopened in the early summer, where we just let people come into the lobby and they could get their holds, and then they would go. And then that next week, so we're at the beginning of January, you know, opening back up for people to come into the building. So that's my instinct. And obviously, you know, we don't know what things will be like in a few weeks, but you know, that's kind of how I am operating. And I know, you know, other libraries are kind of targeting the first of the year and hoping that things will feel.
So my only question on that is, do you
Yeah.
have any fear, because right around Christmas, they're saying the week or two after Christmas is when there's going to be the
Yeah.
next spike because people are going to get together. Do you have any
Yeah.
fear
Yeah,
that
and-
maybe we should wait maybe an extra 7 days, 10 days or something just to kind of,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we certainly, we certainly could. I'm very much not married to these dates, and I did not,
Mhm.
when we closed the library, we didn't give people a targeted reopening date intentionally, just because I didn't want it to have to give them a day and then
Right.
say, actually, we're going to go in a week, and actually, let's look again in 2 weeks. Yeah, so, you know, we could target, you know, maybe it's the Tuesday after Martin Luther King Day, which would give us another couple weeks. That, you know, that would get us through the first 2 weeks in January. And the way our reopening plan is written is essentially, you know, that I can, you know, get together with the township supervisor and we can, you know, we
Right.
could switch it in a day. I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
do it to staff. But yeah, I mean, that's a really good point, Vanessa. If Christmas follows this Thanksgiving, you know, thing, then
Yeah.
we very
Yeah.
much wait.
We'll never know, right? I mean,
No,
we're kind of totally guessing, so.
yes, we are guessing.
I think that's a good idea, Vanessa, because I was thinking the same thing. And maybe we just keep our eye on it and see what happens. Maybe,
Mhm.
maybe we could open, but
Okay,
just sort of play it by ear.
I mean, that's what we're doing right now. So
Mhm.
thank
Jason?
you guys for your thoughts.
Jason, Barry, do you have anything to want to say?
Well, I do. I think that any decision to close ought to be based on evidence. I think that there ought to be some evidence-based decision-making, which you can point to and say, here are the reasons why the library should be closed. And when you look at the service that the library provides, pardon me, library provides a taxpayer-funded critical service that is not available anywhere else. There's nowhere else our patrons can go to get the services that they get from the library. And when you look at other services, governmental or non-governmental services, they are not closed. At most, their access is restricted. I can go to Meijer and buy a gallon of milk. I can go to Meijer and buy a book that I can get at the library. And if we're relying on public health experts, which we admit we're not, they're saying that those services don't need to be curtailed. If they did need to be curtailed, I'm sure the governor would tell us. The governor holds a press conference on a regular basis, and she discusses the various metrics that are involved in it. And she has not been hesitant to order the closure of services when she deems them to be a public health threat, which is entirely within her discretion. And I think it's important to note that she hasn't said anything about libraries and quasi-library services. And so I think that if you look at the absence of evidence-based decision-making, if you look at the ability of the library to protect its patrons and its staff, we've gone to great lengths to provide protection for staff and patrons both. And I think when you balance those things against what the taxpayers are expecting, and I know it's not reasonable to expect this, but it's like, if we're not open, shouldn't we be refunding some of our taxpayer income to the taxpayers who aren't getting their money's worth? I know that's not a practical suggestion, but if I wasn't consuming as much electricity, I would expect to pay less in my electric bill. So I think that the decision to close the library is ill-advised. And even to the extent that it was deemed to be appropriate under the circumstances, I think there ought to be a strong desire to open the library at the earliest advisable date. And that if we're going to stay closed, then we ought to point to evidence, reasons why we're closed. And absent that, I think we should be open. So thank you for allowing me to state my opinion.
No, thank
Well-
you. I mean, this is, yeah, I feel like this is what we wrestle with every day.
Well, and I think what Jason said about to someone in the taxpayers, I've heard that. They called me up and nagged, we pay taxes there. They have no right to close those places. So yes, that is something that people have brought up. So I don't know. Where do we go next?
That's a political view and not a health view, isn't it? About their taxes, you know.
Yeah. Well, I do think though, if we open that, we do exactly what we did the last time, only up to pick up their books and not wander around maybe.
Yes. Prescriptive, restricted opening for certain services is fine, I think.
Yeah, I will say, you know, the majority of our neighboring libraries are closed. And a lot of them closed, you know, we closed as of Wednesday. A lot of them had closed as of Monday. So we were seeing more services, more people in the building on that Monday and Tuesday when they realized they couldn't go to their home libraries to get service. So that's something to keep in mind. And I do, and if I had a crystal ball, you know, I do worry about having to close the library entirely because we don't have enough staff. But that's not, I mean, if that has to happen, it has to happen. So.
Well, maybe you discuss it with someone else has more power than us and see
Yeah.
what they
Yeah,
say.
absolutely. I can discuss again with Supervisor Gray. I can do it either tomorrow or we can go do it, you know, early next week. I'm sure he would be happy to discuss with me.
Plus, we have a township representative here, of course, who can take the issue up as well, couldn't she?
Mhm.
It's, I mean, this is a really tough one. So, and I totally understand both sides of it. That's, it's just impossible. So,
I guess at least for this moment, we leave it in limbo until we get further.
yeah, I'll take it and discuss with Supervisor Gray.
Okay, keep
Thanks,
us
Ray.
informed, okay?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Anybody else have anything to say on that? Vanessa, you're so lucky because you may not have known this, but usually at this time, we would let Dave or once Rick or whoever was here sort of bring us up to date with what's happening in the township.
Oh, Barb,
Hmm.
we forgot one thing. You missed one on the, you missed new business.
The which, oh, yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I have the, first would be, our meeting schedule for next year. So if you guys would look that over and vote to approve it, that would be wonderful. It's still, we're just staying up the fourth Wednesday of each month, except for in December, when we do the second Wednesday. And then obviously no,
Which would be really
oh,
just like this year's
just like,
schedule.
just like right now. Yeah. And then no November meeting because it's over Thanksgiving.
Do we have someone who would like to?
Can I interject here?
Yes?
Yes.
Last night at the Township Board of Trustees meeting, they had already made a motion to approve the meeting schedule and your holiday schedule under the consent agenda. Is
Yes.
that correct?
That is correct. Missy asked that we have the library advisory board vote on it anyway.
Okay,
All right, shall we vote on both things at once? Would someone like to make a motion or do you want them separately?
What are the two questions? One is
The two schedules, the library advisory board meeting schedule and the holiday schedule, which would be in tune with what happens in the township anyway.
I move we adopt the proposed closing schedule and holiday schedule.
All right, we have a second, Barry?
Yep.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Yes,
Garbutt,
yes.
Pernick,
yes.
Hiscox,
Yes.
Magner,
Aye.
motion carried.
Okay, Vanessa, if you have anything you would like to bring us up to date on from the township that,
Sure. Well, we just had a meeting last night. It was our new supervisor, Larry Gray's first meeting, and he did great. So it was nice to have him on that meeting. We reappointed, Rick Stovall to the ZBA, George Weber to the Planning Commission, Bob Burkheiser to the Parks, and they appointed me to the Library Board. We approved a new development that will be going in at Wixom and Glengarry. It will be attached to the Trillium Drive subdivision there. It's going to be a two-phase development. I think it's a total of about 70 homes. But they're doing a really beautiful job with the extra greenery and extra open space. This has been a project that's been in the works since 2007, but with all the stuff that happened back then, it switched hands. And so anyways, that's getting done. All the meetings were approved, meeting schedules and holidays were approved. And we, in November, approved the budget. I don't know if you guys knew that, but the township budget was approved back then. So that's about it in a nutshell. If anyone has any questions.
anybody? Nope. Okay, I guess not. I guess we have no recommendations to the township board, but Allison, you do have to speak to them about opening, closing, or whatever we're going to do.
Definitely.
So anything else anybody like to bring up under other matters? I was going to bring this up tonight, and we do have a couple people missing, but Judy has not been to a meeting in 11 months. And I know her husband died and all this pandemic, and she does not use a computer. But I would like to send her a note and tell her that we miss her and that we hope that we will see her sometime soon. And I just thought it would be nice to sign it from the library board instead of just me, unless you disagree. That's why I wanted to bring it up. So would that be all right with you, Jason and Barry?
Yes,
Yes.
of course.
Okay. I just think that she probably needs a little support. Barry?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I didn't want to do it if that wasn't agreeable with you. Does anybody have anything else they would like to bring up? Boy, I tell you, not in person. You sure go through the meetings a lot faster, don't you? Don't we? So if there's nothing else, would someone like to adjourn the meeting?
I move we adjourn.
Support.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Cindy, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Can I
Madam
do
Chair.
roll call?
Yes, you better.
Okay, Pernick,
Yes.
Magner,
Aye.
Garbett,
Yes.
Hiscox.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned at 7:45 PM.
Thank you very much all for coming. I wonder if Betsy